I want to warp your idea of the word recency. When I say warp, I mean warp to be the most best, the bestest, the greatest, the the most beneficent, the beneficialist that it can be. Okay? Recency. 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 Now I will just give a bit of a trigger warning before we start that I'm going to be potentially using some personal anecdotes to um, briefly as possible, to make to elucidate the saliency or the relevance of some of the terms that pop up as it relates to my own ability to um, conduct the warp. Okay, so this one says Malaga, Malaga, Malaga. It says a sweet, dark, fortified wine made in the region of Malaga. Malaga. Ma, uh, Malaga. Malaga. So mal means bad, or mala means bad um in what's it called? Spanish. And then ga makes me think of like goo goo gaga, like baby language. So it's kind of Malaga is kind of is like giving me the idea of like um inadequate baby language. Okay, Malaga. Robotic. Okay, so saying robotics. Where is it? Where did it go? The science of automated devices, robots used to replace live workers, especially in factories. Okay, so, okay, robotics. Robotics, the science of automated devices, robots used to replace live. I think the word alive would be the most beneficent word to use here, but that's what I'll explain. Alive workers, especially in factories. So, okay, recency, as I am like most beneficently able to conjoin, is actually having to do with from like relative to when I became finalized. So recency is it has to do with like how like it's kind of like distance, right? So it's like the shortest distance from what is generally regarded, or it's like programmed into the language. So in a previous video, I was explaining how I personally understand that languages are kind of like genetically programmed, okay? Because there's a lot of genetic diversity and there's a lot of linguistic diversity. So, um, the same way that language is basically programmed, can be programmed with ideas that are ultimately going to result in something like this, where factories are operated by machinery. Um, Basically, I'll tell you that the word recency, unlike a robot, you became finalized before you were born. You were finalized long before you were born. You were finalized when you had your first heartbeat. When you had your first heartbeat, that is when you were finalized. You know what I'm saying? So, according to the like modern, generally taken idea is like this like false belief, basically. I mean, I'm calling it false, that like right now is final, but then that's like chasing a tail. Okay, you're never gonna you're like trying to bite a tail or trying to catch a tail that is simply, you're just gonna be dead one day. So do you so like, according to that definition, that recency is like in relation to finality, well, that would be just like death. Okay, that's like literally so morbid and deadly, as opposed to a an unmorbid idea of like in relation to finalization. So what is most recent to the first heartbeat? What is most recent to the first heartbeat? And that's how we can generally improve like life quality, okay? Because you have to understand that everything that happens from the time of the first heartbeat onward is permanently recent. It's always going to be the most recent because it's like taken into the body. Okay, and this is the body. Okay, this is the body. Okay, this is the final body. I'm not dead yet, but this is the final body. Okay, you get what I'm saying? So when I had my first heartbeat, that was when I became finalized. Okay. Anyway, anyway, here we go. I'm gonna keep going here. Okay, this one says League of Nations, an international organization set up after the First World War to promote international cooperation and to achieve international peace and security. International peace and security. Like I was saying, the general like morbid um what's that called? Like on a graph when something a skew. So there's like this like morbid skew of like basically the English language. And it has to do with historical violence. It has to do with historical deadliness, historical disrespect for life, and basically historical like religion does not mean godliness. Okay, because the people in the Catholic Church who were promoting genital mutilation of God's body. Okay, for you to say that for a person to think that an infant is somehow defected or injured, when that's anger, it's infuriating to God, because God's body is perfect. God's body is not defected or injured. Okay, so, but the people who were doing that, for example, take the Roman Catholic Church, has a long history of male pedophilia. Yes, male pedophilia, and also basically being a hen house of nuns who were quite violent, who historically were quite violent to each other. So there, these like the like nuns who were in charge could be quite violent with younger nuns, and even deadly. Yes, even deadly, and in a secret way, to younger or new nuns. Okay, I've read like a autobiography by a nun from like the Middle Ages. It's fascinating. It's very fascinating. The language is quite coded. The language is quite coded because, and then she was ordained as a saint. It's very interesting. But she unveiled how violent it really is, And we all know that the Catholic Church is responsible for a lot of male pedophilia. Okay, and they're the same people who are genitally mutilating infants who are perfectly designed, perfectly planned, perfectly final, perfectly embodied, okay, perfectly actualized, perfect actualization, self actualization, perfect God actualization. Okay. This one says peace. What does it say? It says cooperation, and it says, yeah, peace and security. Peace and security. Stop doing that. You see it here? Oh, yeah. Peace and security. Okay, let's keep going. Okay, I have like a few seconds left. It says disinfection, and it also says disinformation. Disinformation.